The cover page of One Piece chapter 1142, titled "The Things I Find Scary," features Yamato putting an end to Who's Who's madness. And Yamato hit the same Thunder Bagua pose we've seen in the past. It's time to get back to kidnapped girls and Shimotsuki's sword. After 28 installments, I actually forgot what Yamato is supposed to be doing, which is bringing the sword to Enma's shrine. But after this, maybe Ulti and her brother Page 1 will stick around Yamato for a while. Aside from Kaido being Yamato's dad, Ulti does have a bit of history with Yamato's current party. She broke some of Komachiyo's bones and even hit Tama. So hopefully the beast and child don't hold strong grudges. Although she's extremely hard-headed, having someone like Ulti on your side would be huge. I mean, she survived a Macer cannon from Big Mom, which combined the powers of Napoleon, Prometheus, and Hera into a single attack. On Elbaf, just outside of the Walrus School, a massive serpent towered over the giant children. They begged their teacher to come save them. These are not the brave warriors of old. They screamed and cried. One of them was absolutely certain that this snake must be Jormungandr, the world serpent. There's a pun in there about it being the end of the week, and the end of the week is Saturday, which is when the weak children are relieved from school. This reptile looks like Randall from Monsters, Inc. It chomped down on the wooden structure while the kids ran for their lives. A teacher stood between them and the monster with just a bit of wood in hand, urging the children to hide inside the school. There was a panic in the teacher's lounge. Unbelievably, a creature from the realm of the dead seemed to have made it to the Sun Realm. The math teacher, Mr. Braid, was focused on everyone escaping. The principal, Mr. Kiba, mentioned calling for help. But even now, Anj knew that the kids were still in danger. A big little girl cried out that one of her classmates was about to be eaten. The young giant tripped like a horror movie victim and was left behind. A giant raced towards the beast with a big hammer in hand. The principal steeled himself, pulled back, and aimed at the monster. He hit a home run and sent the serpent's head up. It was already in pain, but Saul raced along a branch as it rose. He apologized for being late and reeled back a hockey-coated fist. All the monster could do was look up before having its head flattened like dough. The children stared in disbelief. This was unlike anything they had ever seen before. This was the first time they've seen the two in action. And as it turns out, Principal Kiba was once a member of the Giant Warrior Pirates. Dory and Brogy were gone for a long time, so I can't say I blame him. I'm wondering if he might have a walrus devil fruit or if he just looks like that. He complained about back pain, while Saul wondered what was up with the big snake. These kids had no idea that their kind principal was once a hardened warrior, and they were impressed by how much Saul lived up to his reputation of being really strong in the past. They don't really have any experience with the Marines, but admired him for it all the same. Robin asked Saul if there are similar creatures in the Sun Realm. He admitted that there are some wild animals every now and then, but this thing is especially big. Saul apologized to the kids for showing them his scary side, but they were actually very grateful. At the same time, a cry went out for a teacher by the name of Wolf. Chopper wondered what it was this time. Back inside the Walrus School, the gym teacher, Mr. Wolf, was in bad shape. He was the one who stood between the monster and the kids. He claimed to be alright and was more worried about the children. Apparently, a bunch of other students just walked away without saying a word. A giant kid moved over to Robin. He asked if she and Chopper are friends of Luffy's. She confirmed that they are. When he heard that, the boy moved back several paces. Robin asked if Luffy did something to him. And of course, Luffy terrorized them with violence and foul language. Before Saul could leave, Mr. Wolf told him to be careful. He also warned Saul not to touch the children, a warning that Saul was a bit confused by. He asked one of the kids where their classmates went. She pointed to the beach and added that they looked like they were sleepwalking. That caught Robin's attention. The children were neatly filed into a line and were fast asleep. The teacher shouted for them to return. Mr. Kiba called for them to sound the horn and let the entire country know. Saul asked if that's not a bit excessive, but the principal had a really bad feeling. He told the former Marine to take a look at the forest. Saul's eyes went wide and his jaw dropped. Mr. Braid blew the horn. Saul, Robin, and Chopper shared similarly gaping expressions. There were even more monsters approaching. They have no idea where they came from, and certainly no one would complain about them alerting all of Elbaf over something like this. Just then, more children fell unconscious and weren't waking back up. There was no explanation for the strange phenomenon. Chopper got down from Saul's beard and decided to examine them. Meanwhile, they still needed to stop the kids from leaving and keep them safe. I'm glad Chopper gets a chance to use his skills as a doctor. This'll be the second time he's treated oversized children. But it's kinda weird that he straight up ignored the gym teacher that's bleeding out, right? Below, in the realm of the dead, Loki asked if they truly believed that keeping a single sea stone shackle would be enough to sap his strength. Even like this, he is still very dangerous. And that is very impressive. All it takes is a bit of the stuff to do the trick against most Devil Fruit users. Smoker only has it on the very end of his weapon, so Loki didn't just have all those chains on him for show. Luffy called out and Sanji gritted his teeth. Loki cackled and told them to hurry up and release him, because if he makes his move, he will incinerate all of Elbaf with its greatest weakness. And clearly this man just wanted an excuse to cause violence because he didn't even wait a single panel. He lifted his hammer, ready to wipe them all out. His brother could only beg him to stop. Loki struck the base of the tree with all his thunderous might. Zoro shielded his face from a bright flash of light. Luffy, Sanji, and all the other giants were slack-jawed as thunder crackled overhead. The clouds lashed out as if to smite the Atom Tree itself. Fire immediately arose from the point of impact. Back at the party, they reported lightning and a fire to the south, not to mention the emergency blare of a horn. Going back to the Walrus School, Anj called out to Saul and Kiba. Panting, she let them know that she recognizes the monsters. That was a big surprise. It turns out that they're from earlier today. One child spoke of Loki and his mighty hammer, but when they mentioned him destroying the world, another began to correct them. Because, of course, Nika would be the one to destroy the world. The kids showed off their drawings to one another, and things got really heated. One drew Loki since he's the scariest. A different kid claimed that Fenrir is the scariest, and based on their horns, two of these kids have old blood. Everyone chimed in with their own opinion. Ghosts, Draugr, which are like Norse zombies, a storm, Nidhogg, a Norse god said to bite the very roots of the World Tree, Jormungandr, which we saw earlier, and one of their moms. Yova meekly told Miss Anj that thinking about these sorts of things would give her nightmares. This is the same girl who was at the head of the sleepwalking pack. Her teacher apologized, but she saw this drawing exercise as a great chance for them to express themselves, showcasing their unique perspectives and imaginations. In the present, Anj was certain of it. She let her colleagues know that all the monsters are manifestations of the children's fears. This is their nightmare world. Oh man, this is getting fun. We have a bear with a helmet, the dragon Nidhogg, and this looks just like the artificial dragon that Dr. Vegapunk made for the world nobles. There's a big bird that seems to be Hresvelgr, the Norse eagle that sits atop the World Tree, and was believed to be the source of the wind itself, a version of Loki that also wields a sword, Fenrir, the fearsome Norse wolf, an angry storm, which looks a lot like a demented Zeus, a ghost, a kraken, a nightmarish Nika hell-bent on destroying the world, another type of ghost with a hat, a Draugr emerging from the ground, and somebody's mom. Elsewhere, St. Killingham woke up and confirmed his success, so it seems like all this sleep-related stuff is thanks to him. St. Somers praised his fellow god. Killingham would lift his power once the children are on the ship, although he wondered if the adults would be able to retrieve them before then. St. Somers laughed. He claimed that to love is to unavoidably hurt others. That seems to line up with his whole rose thing. Beautiful, but to truly hold one, you must be prepared to meet thorns. He asked Gunko what she's most afraid of. After thinking for a moment, she admitted that she's most afraid of Nika. So the Nika show continues. Now I'll be looking forward to when she meets Luffy. But I can also see why Loki believes that he's Nika. He hasn't moved around for years, longer than Luffy's been a pirate. He was beaten within an inch of his life, and is still wearing a sea stone shackle that is the size of a town. yet he can still swing his oversized hammer and threaten the entire country in a matter of seconds. I'll also add in the fact that he's blindfolded, because surely that just makes everything else cooler. But this all makes the fact that Shanks beat him way more impressive. And I still think Loki's hammer Ragnir looks like a really big poneglyph, one large enough for giants to read. But it also looks like it's received a lasting overcoat of armament haki and was fashioned into a weapon. Of course, we're all still waiting for Usopp to do something on Elbaf, besides getting drunk. He does have that whole oversized hammer gag of his, and they look similar enough, so maybe Usopp will need to pull something off that's similar to what Brook did with Big Mom. At this point, I'm just looking for any reason to involve him. If you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. As always, I'm SliceOfOtaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.